As Donald Trump's Epstein scandal continues to spiral out of control and he flails wildly and desperately to try to change the topic, disturbing video and audio files have been unearthed featuring Trump, which are particularly ominous when you consider the purported Epstein files, Epstein's misconduct, and Trump's potential implication in both. And the video that you're about to see in particular comes from a 1991 modeling competition featuring teenagers as young as 14 years old. And a 2020 investigation revealed that according to former contestants, this competition was used as a way for adults to pursue sexual relationships with the models, again, some of whom being teenagers. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking my commentary and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, let's jump right in. This is provided courtesy of Midas Touch, the liberal powerhouse network. They unearthed this footage from 1991. We're going to play the clip and unpack it together.
The 58 contestants participated in an exhaustive round of personal interviews designed to help our judges discover what makes each one special.
Your 5'9" reading? Serious, huh?
We may measure again tonight before the
Okay. Thank you very much, Amy.
The concentration was intense inside the judging room.
What if they don't like you as you are?
And out.
I'm just so excited.
Each girl was considered not only for her beauty and poise, but also for her personality and that indefinable
something extra that makes a top model.
Okay, you want to pull your hair back 1 second? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ingrid. Good luck for tonight.
Thank you.
When it came time to choose the 21 finalists, emotions ran high as each judge expressed his or her opinion.
So again, that clip is from 1991. It was unearthed by Midas Touch, and we're going to take a look at the reporting surrounding it courtesy of Mediaite. They provide some additional context. Unearthed video of now President Donald Trump showing him judging a modeling competition with contestants in their teens has racked up over 12 million views amid the furor over the so-called Epstein files. And it gets into, of course, the context of what's happened over the past couple of weeks. We're going to skip that because you all know it. We've covered it extensively. It is against that backdrop that Midas Touch host Ben Meiselas posted a 1-minute clip from the Elite Modeling 1991 Look of the Year contest, which proceeded to go viral. The clip was captioned, quote, "Unearthed. Donald Trump judges the 1991 Look of the Year modeling competition organized by Elite Modeling Management, featuring participants as young as 14 years old. A 2020 Guardian investigation into Elite's Look of the Year competition uncovered allegations from former contestants and industry insiders that the competition was used by founder John Casablancas and others to engage in sexual relationships with vulnerable young models, some of whom were teenagers. Yikes. The Guardian profile referenced in the post notes that, quote, no such allegations have been leveled against Trump, but is rife with details about his participation in the contest and the experiences of the teenage models who interacted with him. Trump's behavior with teen beauty pageant contestants came to light during his first run for president, as several past Miss Teen USA contestants alleged he would barge into the dressing rooms for the competition without warning. On an episode of the Midas Touch podcast, Meiselas called the 1991 video creepy, which it is, especially in light of the current context, and pointed out an interview in which Trump bragged about being able to, quote, get away with dropping in on naked contestants under the pretext of, quote, inspecting the proceedings as the pageant's owner. Okay? So again, these things that, obviously modeling competitions happen all the time and have had for decades, and a lot of people would say, especially when they involve teens, that you're already towing the line of just any modeling competition being inherently creepy. But these videos of Trump in the current context, you can't help but interpret them in a particularly ominous light. Again, even though no allegations have been made against Trump himself, okay? Now, you take that video, which was unearthed by Midas Touch, and then you have unearthed audio from Donald Trump interview with Howard Stern, in which he says something, even by Trump standards, which was really friggin' weird and off color in regards to his predilection for younger women.
What is the best thing about being Donald Trump right now?
Well, other than the fact I'm married, okay?
Right.
And I'm very happily married. I have a great wife. But if I weren't married, I'd be able to get all of the girls I want, except for possibly Robin.
Do you think you could now be banging 24-year-olds?
Oh, absolutely. I have no trouble.
Would you do it?
I have no problem.
Yeah, do you have an age limit, or would you...
No, I have no age. I mean, I have an age. I don't want to be
The
like
upper bracket,
Congressman
yeah.
Foley with 12-year-olds.
Can I make a prediction for you?
Yes.
I say you have one more marriage in you.
Well, that's nice. I'm sure Melania will love to hear that.
No.
Oh, Jesus. So he says he has no age limit, and then says, well, I wouldn't go as young as 12. It's very generous of you, Donald. It's very generous. So again, this is also coming out. And again, we have no reason to interpret any of these in the most charitable light. Donald Trump gives us no reason to give him the benefit of the doubt. None. That's why the polling is as atrocious as it is with respect to the Epstein files. Again, Mediaite reports Trump's stunning response when asked if he has sexual age limit resurfaces as Epstein mania boils. Then future President Donald Trump's stunning response when he was asked if he had a sexual age limit has taken on a new dimension amid the fallout from the Epstein files controversy and the latest revelations about Trump's relationship with deceased sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. And again, it goes into the details about what's happened over the past 2 weeks. We need not relitigate them. Amid the heightened scrutiny of Trump's past, unearthed recordings are being given new life and significance. One such recording is a 2006 interview on the Howard Stern show, in which host Howard Stern and co-host Robin Quivers asked Trump about sleeping with younger women. And again, there's the clip there. So these things, I mean, Howard Stern, he's a shock jock for the reason. He's the OG, the legendary shock jock. And so these sorts of off-color questions are part and parcel of Howard Stern's entire audience appeal, okay? And there's nothing wrong with dark humor, right? There's nothing wrong with dark comedy of any sort. I don't have an issue with that necessarily. But again, with Trump in particular, in light of the various allegations against him, the fact that he was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation of E. Jean Carroll in the 90s in the Bergdorf Goodman store, in which the presiding judge said that what the jury found Trump had done was, in the common parlance, rape. Now, not to the satisfaction of the New York criminal statute, which requires genital penetration, right? It would have required Trump, not to get too blunt here, but to use his penis, right, instead of using his fingers. But that is what the jury found, and the presiding judge clarified that in common parlance, what they described would be considered rape. And when you consider all of these things, again, there's just no reason to give Trump the benefit of the doubt here. Like, again, no allegations are being made from that teen modeling contest. And, but the idea is, why would this not seem so damn creepy? And with all those other contexts provided, and then this, right? So this is from a former employee of Jeffrey Epstein. An accuser story suggests how Trump might appear in the Epstein files. A former Jeffrey Epstein employee said that she told the FBI in 1996 and 2006, which was the same year that audio file we just heard from Howard Stern, that file was created, about what she considered a troubling encounter with Donald Trump. It was the summer of 1996 when Maria Farmer went to law enforcement to complain about Jeffrey Epstein. At the time, she said she'd been sexually assaulted by Epstein and his longtime partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. Farmer, then in her mid-20s, also learned about a troubling encounter that her younger sister, then a teenager, had endured at Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, and she described facing threats from Epstein. Farmer said that when she discussed her concern with New York Police Department, then with the FBI, she also urged them to take a broader look at people in Epstein's orbit, including Donald J. Trump, then still 2 decades from being elected president. She repeated that message, she said, when the FBI interviewed her again about Epstein in 2006. Her account is among the clearest indications yet of how Trump might have come to be named in the unreleased investigative files in the Epstein case, a matter that has generated another political uproar in recent weeks. In interviews over the past week about what she told the authorities, Farmer said she had no evidence of criminal wrongdoing by Epstein's associates, but she said she was alarmed by what she saw as Epstein's pattern of pursuing girls and young women while building friendships with prominent people, including Donald Trump and President Bill Clinton. Investigations like the one that targeted Epstein often explore a wide range of tips, evidence, recollections, and relationships, little of which ends up being used in court records or as the basis for criminal prosecution. Epstein's voluminous investigative file contains many records which have not been made public, but that have become the focus of claims, long stoked by Trump's allies, that authorities might have covered up the involvement of other rich and powerful men. Now, after his attorney general and FBI director abruptly abandoned their earlier promises to reveal everything about the Epstein files and said, in effect, that there was nothing to see, Trump's ties to Epstein are under renewed scrutiny, leading to questions about what so far undisclosed appearances he might have in the investigative record. The story of Farmer's efforts to call law enforcement attention to Epstein and his circle shows how the case files could contain material that is embarrassing or politically problematic to Trump, even if it is largely extraneous to Epstein's crimes and was never fully investigated or corroborated. And it underscores the complexities of opening up scrutiny to all leads that investigators pursued, the evidence they gathered, and the interviews they conducted, little of which ever went before a judge or jury. Law enforcement agencies have not accused Trump of any wrongdoing related to Epstein, and he has never been identified as a target of any associated investigation. Trump last week called for relevant grand jury testimony in the prosecution of Epstein to be publicly released, and has repeatedly dismissed any notion that he has something to hide. Even if that testimony is released, it is unlikely to shed much light on the relationship between the two men, which did not figure prominently in Epstein's criminal cases. Farmer has said she long wondered how law enforcement agencies handled her complaints in 1996 and 2006, and she says she's been wondering in particular whether federal authorities did anything with her concerns about Trump. She said she raised his name both times, not only because he seemed so close to Epstein, but because of an encounter, which she has previously described publicly, that she said she had with Trump in Epstein's New York office. The encounter for Trump, Farmer said, occurred in 1995 as she was preparing to work for Epstein. She said she told authorities that late one night, Epstein unexpectedly called her to his offices in a luxury building in Manhattan, and she arrived in running shorts. Trump then arrived wearing a business suit and started to hover over her, she said she told the authorities. Farmer said she recalled being scared as Trump stared at her bare legs. Then Epstein entered the room, and she recalled him saying to Trump, quote, "No, she's not here for you." The two men left the room, and Farmer said she could hear Trump commenting that he thought Farmer was 16 years old. After her encounter with Trump, Farmer said she had no other alarming interactions with him and did not see him engage in inappropriate conduct with girls or women. The White House on Friday contested Farmer's account and cited Trump's long-ago decision to end his friendship with Epstein. Quote, "The president was never in his office," said Stephen Chung, the White House communications director, referring to Epstein. Quote, "The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep." Farmer, an artist, worked for Epstein in 1995 and 1996, initially to acquire art on his behalf, but then later to oversee the comings and goings of girls, young women, and celebrities at the front entrance of the Upper East Side townhouse. In 1996, Farmer said she went to stay at Epstein's estate in Ohio in a complex developed by Leslie H. Wexner, the chief executive of the company that owned Victoria's Secret. Epstein and Maxwell came that summer. Farmer said that she was asked to give Epstein a foot massage. He and Maxwell violently groped her until she fled the room and barricaded herself in another part of the building. Farmer was an artist who did work on nude figures, and she also reported partially nude photos she had of her two younger sisters were missing from a storage lockbox. Over the years, Farmer has been attacked by people who question whether she could be trusted. She was not called to testify when Maxwell was prosecuted and convicted in 2021 of conspiring with Epstein to sexually exploit and abuse young girls. Her sister Annie did testify in the case about how Maxwell had massaged her bare chest after she'd been invited to Epstein's estate in New Mexico. But Farmer's mother said she recalled hearing about the Trump encounter around the time it occurred, and Farmer had first gone to the FBI in 1996. Annie Farmer also said she remembered Maria sharing that she'd told the FBI about Epstein and powerful people like Trump and Clinton. The article goes on like this. So again, they're saying that the New York Times is reporting that, again, even though no direct allegations of crimes have been made against Donald Trump, that these sorts of embarrassing and creepy anecdotes could appear in the Epstein files and could provide a motivation for Trump to bury the Epstein files because he could view them as politically toxic. So again, you take all these things together, the video file that we shared, the audio file that we shared, and this account by a former Epstein employee who was herself victimized by Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, who had a creepy encounter with Trump, and it paints a very vivid and disturbing portrait of Trump's particular creepiness. And again, even though no direct allegations have been made against him, and that needs to be noted, this creepiness does not look good or better. It looks considerably worse when you consider why he might have a personal motivation, to suppress the Epstein files, and why he continues to do so. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.